morning. Good morning and welcome to Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose. It's great to see you here this morning. Let's start our celebration. So we let it be. Thank you. Thank you, Peter. We'll have the brothers and sisters in prayer. Please be seated. And together we'll go just a little bit deeper into that spaciousness, into the grace, the place where Peter brought us with his eloquent words. Just breathing in deeply and exhaling and allowing ourselves to be still and know the presence of the Most High is the innermost presence, the one that is the one within us. And so as we remember this, we sing together, I am remembering who I am, knowing that I am is the name of the sacred presence of the divine, the absolute reality that is love, that lives and moves and has its perfect being in each of us, both individually and collectively. And so that as we sing this chant for ourselves, we sing it knowing the truth about who we are, but we also know it, we know the truth for every single thing on the planet and beyond. We bless all beings as we sing together, I am remembering who I am. And breathing in to the stillness. Let us know that it's all God and it's all perfect. And we continue that remembrance as we exhale and gently open our eyes in love with what is, as it is, and so it is. Thank you. So one of the joys of my position at this center is that I get to hear how the teachings that we support here change people's lives. And people will often come up to me and say, you know, we talked about this on a Sunday, or we learned this in a class, and this is how my life changed. And so several years ago, I decided that I wanted to make that information available to more people, to people in the congregation. So we started this tradition called Testimonial Sunday, where through meditation, I discern a couple of people that might have a story to tell about how this center and this teaching changed their lives. Today, we are going to be blessed by the testimonies of our beloved Tobias Hildebrand and our beloved Maggie Hood, who is a practitioner. So I leave it to you to open your hearts and welcome them with great love. And we're going to start with Tobias, and then Maggie is going to go, and I know you're going to have a great time listening to their stories. So let's go ahead and give Tobias a round of applause as he comes to the stage.
Wow, good morning. What an amazing opportunity this is to really just take a moment and reflect on, I would like to say just this center, but it really became a process of reflecting on my life. And it started with this community about a year and a half ago when I relocated back to Ventura. I was a member of the same affiliated Church of Religious Science up in Santa Barbara, our sister center there at Center of the Heart. And that's going back a little bit further than that. When I was 10 years old, when we moved to Ojai, my mother, who was pretty much a spiritual gypsy, I like to call her, she was involved in a lot of different churches, a lot of different teachings. And one of the things that really resonated very strongly to me was the meditations that she would share with me, that she never really forced me to come to any of her practices or lectures, and there were many that we went to because I was sort of along for the ride. And oftentimes I was listening to Krishnamurti on what is now the Oak Grove School, and I'd say, "Mom, I'm ready to go." And she'd say, "I hear what you're saying, and we're not going anywhere. So go play, you know, go sit in an oak tree." And now, you know, I look at those lectures that are on YouTube, and I just think, God, why wasn't I just like right there with that guy? Because now I'm looking at this black and white blurry picture of this man, and I get what he's saying, which is really weird because it's really intense. Okay. But I digress. This particular center has such an amazing connection And it really is all about the song we sang this morning. And it's just really about releasing something that I had held for so very long, and that was a huge resentment to my father. When I left Ventura after graduating from Buena, and I went to this far, far, far country away called Santa Barbara, I swore, I just swore I was never coming back, and I often had to come back, and I would visit with my father, and I would sit on the patio, and we'd have, I'd plan like 45 minutes, and I'd have an alarm. I don't know how I had an alarm, because we didn't have phones, we didn't have a pager, we didn't have anything, but I knew I was getting the hell out of there in 45 minutes. And it usually became an hour and a half, and I'd say, make a phone call, and I'd change something. And we'd have a great time. We were really enjoying ourselves. And then I could see a switch, and it was this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde relationship that I had with my father. It was not a love-hate relationship, because I loved him the whole time, and he was love, and my family was all about expressing their love and being in a state of love all the time, which I'm very grateful for. However, my father would like to, let's say, imbibe a little and drink his sorrows away, and so there'd be this switch that would happen, and I could see it take place, and I knew, okay, time to leave. No matter what I was in the middle of, I just gathered my things, and I went back to the country of Santa Barbara, never to return again until I had to the following week. I was never going to move to Ventura. Then, as Spirit would have it, my life changed considerably, and I went through a separation, which became a divorce. And moving back to Ventura really became a catalyst to supporting my daughter, getting into high school and being closer to her for basically all of her activities that just seemed to increase more and more. And they were earlier mornings and later nights, and she's a very committed individual. She goes to choir at 6:15 in the morning, thanks to Heidi House and the show choir program at Ventura High School. If you haven't checked that out, they just do amazing, amazing events there. And that child in 3 years has never once complained. And that is because of the teachings of this church, and she's getting it through osmosis. And I came across a picture, and I cannot even believe I brought this picture, because I was not planning on bringing this picture. This is a picture of my daughter at the center of the heart, and at the end, all the kids would come up and we would sing, "I release and I let go." And I'm thinking, I don't know, she's not doing anything. They're going in the back. I don't know what they're doing. And we would get back in the car, and my wife and I'd be in the front, and it was a long, van, and she'd be in the back, and she'd be looking at this mirror. I think, I don't know, maybe we should just get a sitter. And then she would look at herself in the mirror, and she'd start clapping. She says, "I release and I let go," all the way home. Anyway, so when I came back to Ventura, I had, Ventura's a big place, right? I mean, I grew up in the East End, I grew up at Pierpont, Silver Strand, and I see this ad. I'm a real estate agent, so I look at all sorts of things, but I was looking at rentals for myself, and I see this ad, and it says, "For rent, Asian craftsman, special," I said, I've seen that house somewhere. And I'm picking up the phone, and I said, God, that's really expensive. I cannot afford that. Hi, this is Tobias, and I'm making this appointment. I'm like, maybe I'm supposed to just go look at this house for someone else. Made the appointment, got the appointment, looked at the house. She's showing it to someone else that's much more qualified. It does not have 2 dogs, part-time, a kid, all kinds of chaos, things in storage, things over here. Everything came together, and not only did she rent it to me, but she said, if you're going to stage it, and you're going to allow me to show the property to someone else that's going to benefit from the commission, why don't I just not charge you a security deposit? Okay. Huh. Well, no, wait a minute. I know that church across the street. I've been there once before. And to make a very long story shorter, I moved into that house. The house immediately sold. She was so appreciative that she never did charge me rent for the 90 days that I lived there. And as Spirit would have it, I live a block away. And that's only because I was there that I got introduced to the neighbors, I got introduced to this community, and this community has just filled my heart. Like I couldn't even begin to express it fully. The last time I was at this podium, I was saying goodbye to my dear mother, and she was 93 years old, and we had a celebration of her life, and we celebrated her life. And I completed the fact that I hadn't really celebrated or been in touch with the fact that I had lost my father 10 years before. And this last weekend, on a full moon, I released both their ashes in the ocean. And, you know, it's amazing what happens when you really, really, really let go. I've had a friend of mine come back into my life that I had lost track of for 35 years. And you'd think we'd have to catch up. There was no catching up. We were like two brothers then, and we're two brothers now. And he was coming for lunch, and he's been here for 10 days. And I'm just so blown away. And he was going to be here, but of course he forgot, because that's my friend Van. And he has a 4-month-old German Shepherd named Heidi, and he said, if I can't bring Heidi, I'm not going to be there. And I said, well, get her certified to be a therapy dog. He did, and he's still not here. And I love him more than I think I've loved any other man in my life. And he is just like, he's a pain in my back end, I tell you. Okay. Last but not least, I really just want to read something that I thought was something that my daughter gave me for Christmas, but she reminded me. By the way, she's not here because she had a previous commitment. What? She's 16. Who has a previous commitment at 16? My daughter. So I thought she wrote this like 2 or 3 years ago, and it was not. That was 7 years ago, and it was for Parent Appreciation Day. She reminded me, not Christmas. Whew. Okay, I'm going to make through this. If only I could catch you the world, I would catch you a trip to Europe. But I won't, because I know that you do not need to find adventure, travel, and endless possibilities in your daily life. If only I could catch you the world, I would catch you a self-organizing house. Because I won't, because I know that you are going to learn how to organize things again. If only I could catch you the world, I would catch you one more week at the 6th day, which was an advanced course, a ropes course up in Northern California. But I won't, because I know that you are busy climbing the high ropes of your dreams. Rungs of a ladder. If only I could catch you the world, I would catch you space to get everything out of storage. But I won't, because I know that one day you will be able to get everything out yourself, and it will feel amazing. If only I could catch you the world, I would catch you the chance to be an elephant for a day, so you could find out how much they really do love peanuts. Because I love you more. I love you more than an elephant loves peanuts. And, you know, I was more excited when this was 3 years ago, but this was 7 years ago. There's only one thing on here that I haven't been able to complete. She came up with that. There are so many things in there that are just peppered with this teaching, that are peppered with her love and our connection, and I'm just forever grateful. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, community. And the end.
Good morning. So I first walked up to the steps of VCSL in 1986. I had arrived just 3 months earlier from La Crosse, Wisconsin, to start a relationship with the man of my dreams, and it wasn't working out. Someone I had met, some of you may remember Ann Phillips, had invited me to attend Sunday service with her here. And as I walked up the steps, I remember thinking, if they're doing anything weird, like speaking in tongues or wearing hooded robes, I'm out of there. Because I'm not going to get trapped into some weird California cult church. I had that thought, I really did. So Reverend Christian Sorensen, everybody looked kind of normal, just like you all do. So that was a good sign. And Reverend Christian Sorensen was minister here, and he later went on to be president of the entire Church of Religious Science. The service was absolutely mesmerizing, and I remember thinking, I'm home. I hadn't been to church for a long time, and I felt I'm home. So Reverend Christian's wife, Stephanie, became my practitioner, and as she helped me through my relationship breakup, I thought, I want to be a practitioner someday so I can help people the way she's helping me. Well, 2 years later, I moved to Hawaii, moved to Oahu for a few months to help Reverend Christian and Stephanie start the Oahu Church of Religious Science. And there I took Foundations class, which was actually called Science of Mind 1 back then. It was in that class that I found the missing link to a question I had had for many years. Why? Why is it that what you think about, you bring about? Why is it that you can have positive thoughts and then all of a sudden you have the life you want? I was like, what makes that happen? And so in that class, I learned that the missing link for me was God. Right? God, always the creative force in the universe, the power that always says yes. So when I came back from Hawaii, I moved up to Morro Bay. And when I moved back to Ventura 5 years later, I had a husband and a 3-year-old and my real estate license. I started coming back to this church, now center, again, and I began my practitioner journey by retaking the Foundations class. And I became a practitioner in 1999. How this philosophy has helped me has been huge. When you go through all the training to become a practitioner, you get really grounded in the knowledge that God is the source, the only source, and that we are spiritual beings having human experiences. And coming to center every Sunday reminds us. But as humans, we practitioners have issues too. They don't magically disappear because we become practitioners, just in case you thought it did. So I went through this long stretch of challenges, and I hit my rock bottom in 2010. It started with a difficult divorce in 2005 after 18 years of marriage, and all of a sudden my 2 kids were with their dad every other week, and I couldn't tuck them in at night or send them off to school in the morning, which was incredibly painful. I literally cried every night. The real estate market started crashing in 2006 here, and that was my livelihood. I had been doing it part-time, but now I had to work full-time. And I was working every single day and not selling a lot. And the property was worth half of what it used to be worth, so I wasn't making much money either. So add to that a short sale, menopause, a teenage daughter who also was having her hormone issues. And there were days when I wanted to jump off a cliff. As a practitioner, I often prayed with members of the congregation. And then I would ask my practitioner friends, thank you all, for prayer for myself. I was barely surviving, really. In October of 2010, I was co-teaching Foundations class, and I had a talk during a break with practitioner Fred Mondragon. Are you here, Fred? It went something like this. Fred, here I am teaching Science of Mind class, and my finances are in the toilet. In fact, well, most of my life is. And I can't figure it out. I don't have thoughts of lack, or I don't have thoughts that I don't deserve to have a good life. But ultimately, because I'm a practitioner, I know that I am responsible for what I'm creating, and I just can't figure out how to change it. So Fred told me, here's what I want you to do. I want you to say, God is my only source every day. And I want you to change the inflection on the word. So you say, God is my only source. God is my only source. God is my only source, and so on. So I said, okay, nothing else has been working. I might as well do this. So when I drove home that night, I started saying my new mantra, God is my only source. I said it loud. I repeated it over and over again. I started emphasizing the words just as Fred had directed me. I put the new mantra on sticky notes, and I stuck them everywhere, on my steering wheel, on my mirrors, on my kitchen cabinets, all over my computer at work. They were stuck everywhere. I said it loud. I sang it loud. I repeated it over and over, emphasizing the words again and again. I yelled it in my car. I sang it. All day long, I was saying, God is my only source. And then I started changing it. I was like, no, my kids are not my source of love. God is my source of love. My clients are not my source of abundance. God is my source of abundance. And what started happening is I started having fun with it. Started really having fun with it. And what really started happening was I started feeling connected, like I had never felt connected before. I began to feel God inside of me, as part of me. And it just felt differently. So 2 months went by. I remember this was October when I started this. Now it's December, and no new deals. And my finances have worsened due to a pending foreclosure in Arizona, which was supposed to be my retirement condo. All my credit cards were shut down, and the bank canceled overdraft protection. And when that happens and you have no money, you can't buy anything. And it was Christmas. I still had no new escrows. I literally cried a lot. I had a little money in the bank, but not enough to get through 2 months. So on December 11th, I was on a real estate coaching call, and the coach asked the question. He always said, write it down. What would have to happen for you to end 2010 in a great way? I just was like, oh, well, I couldn't even imagine. So I just thought I'd be really bold, and I wrote, okay, put 3 buyers into escrow. Sell my one house that I had listed in Camarillo and get 2 more listings. I wrote it all down. That was more than I had done all year to that point. Excuse me. So I went and told my broker what my goal was. And normally he's a rah-rah, you can do anything kind of guy. But he just stared at me like a deer in the headlights, and like he was thinking, yeah, well, good luck with that. I saw it all over his face. So, mind you, it was 2010. The market was deader than dead. It was the holidays. No one was even coming to the office. I really had no idea how I was going to do it. But I went to the office every day and I worked. I made phone calls, and I just went into the office every day. So lo and behold, one day, excuse me, I got an offer. I got a call that told me an offer I had written in November for a VA buyer on a house had gotten accepted and chosen over 5 others. It was a $210,000 house in Fillmore, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. Remember, that was the bottom of the market. So then I had this VA buyer we'd been waiting for Bank of America to approve a short sale since July. And I said, we better find another house. So we actually wrote an offer and got another offer accepted. And then I got an offer on the house in Camarillo. And we negotiated that, put that one into escrow. So each time I went to my broker and I told him, he gave me a high five. And we gradually both started getting really excited. I wrote an offer for another client that I'd been working with for 5 months, and the seller took a different offer. So I just kept going to the offer. All of a sudden, I had a call from someone who said, hey, that house you sold us last year, it's too small. We're going to buy a new house. And so we made a plan to get together right after the first of the year, and he was going to list his house with me. And then I had an email from another friend who said they were getting divorced, and by the way, we're going to have to do a short sale. So can you come over after the first of the year and list that house? So by December 30th, I had 2 buyers in escrow. My listing was in escrow, and I had the promise of 2 new listings. So on December 30th, I got a call from the agent whose client had picked the other offer, and he said, you think your buyers might still be interested in that condo? And on December 31st, we finalized the negotiation on that transaction. And I got the accepted offer on buyer number 3. So I achieved all those goals in 20 days during the Christmas holiday when hardly anyone else was even working. Following year in 2011, I sold 20 properties, paid off all my credit card debt, and became one of the top agents in my office. And I've been there ever since. I attribute all my success to, number 1, I showed up every day and worked. Because you can't pray and do nothing and expect a miracle. Okay. And secondly, and most importantly, really, really getting in touch with the principles we practice in this philosophy. God is always at work. God is always present in every situation. And God is within each one of us. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
All right. So let us turn within and pray. And we take just a moment to breathe and to just savor this time that we've had together in this beautiful spiritual community. Knowing that as Maggie and Tobias have stood up here and told their stories, that every single person sitting in this sanctuary either has a story of triumph of their own or a story of triumph that is about to happen. And so I welcome the success and the abundance and the joy and the love that is God, that is all things, and that is part of each and every one of us, that is exactly who we are. And I rest in that awareness of knowing the one life that is God's life, and knowing that it is my life, knowing that it is your life, knowing that it is our life, and it is the life of the planet. How wonderful it is to rest in that awareness, to know that we are one with God, and to live our lives as if that truth is true, because it is true. And so indeed, we live our lives accordingly. We live like we are abundant because we are. We live in joy because we are joy. We live as pure love because we are pure love. And this changes us from the inside out. It changes our inner being and it changes our outer world so that the whole world may celebrate who it is and what it is. For this, I am so grateful. So grateful for this spiritual teaching and for all of the people here today. So grateful for the transformation that I know is occurring as a result of our divine work together. So grateful for our 2 testifiers and for everybody that worked together to make this beautiful, beautiful morning happen. So grateful for everyone who showed up and said yes with an open heart to expand in God. And grateful for this center and all centers, churches everywhere, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams. I bless all paths to God and name them perfect. And with a heart that is so filled with gratitude and so filled with love for Spirit showing up, so filled with thanksgiving, I say thank you, Spirit, thank you, God, and I release these words into the divine mystery of the law. And together we say, and so it is. I am so